Welcome back to the voice of professional bodybuilding. Presented by Team Muscle Tech and brought to you by bodybuilding.com and by Flex Magazine. Visit the show online at bodybuildingradio.com. Now back to Dan and Bob.
All right, this segment is brought to you by the Muscle Asylum Project, scientifically superior mega-dose bodybuilding supplements. And for the month of April, you can get the Muscle Asylum Project line of supplements at buy one, get one, 50% off, available at GNC. And of course, MAP products are always available now at bodybuilding.com. It is time for our interview of the week, brought to you tonight by Flex Magazine and by the 2008 IFBB Pro Bodybuilding Weekly Championships, the only pro contest in the Southeast region, scheduled for August 9th in Tampa, Florida. Our guest tonight has competed against many of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. He's a former Universe champ, a Mr. Europe, a Mr. World. Back in the early 70s, he came incredibly close to adding the title Mr. Olympia to his resume during some legendary battles with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And tonight, joining us from his home in Paris, France, let's welcome the one and only Serge Nubret. Serge, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Dan. How are you?
We're doing just fine, Serge. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay. Thank you for...
Serge, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we have received so many requests from people who have been anxious to hear from you. Apparently, you're still a pretty popular guy out there. Let's start all the way back in the beginning. You were born in Guadeloupe back in 1938, and at 20 years old, you decided to devote your life to bodybuilding. I have to assume, Serge, bodybuilding was not a very popular sport in Guadeloupe back in those days. What got you started in bodybuilding?
Yeah, I mean, I started in 1958, but it was so popular already, huh? But we did not have magazine, but we have some magazine coming from France. So I did not really know what to do in my sport, for my sport life. I want to be champion somewhere. It could be in cyclist, it could be in football, so I choose bodybuilding. So I started in 1958, and 2 years after, in 1960, I was the most muscular man in the world, IFBB.
Serge, what was it that got you interested in wanting to build your body, though? Why did you pick bodybuilding?
Why? Because I saw some movie of Steve Reeves. And so I love this movie. I see some Hercules movie, so I say I want to be like that. And then Steve Reeves really put me in this game.
You know, it's funny, we've heard so many people from your era talk about the influence that guys like Steve Reeves and, of course, the late Reg Park had on their careers and getting them started in bodybuilding. Let's jump right into it, Serge. After losing to Franco Colombo at the 1970 Mr. Europe, you would go to the 72 Mr. Olympia and you'd get some revenge on Franco. You finished third there. You defeated both Frank Zane and Franco in that contest. I want you to talk about your first Mr. Olympia contest and your battle with Sergio Oliva in that first big showdown with Arnold.
Franco beat me in 1970 Mr. Europe, but it wasn't really. I did not care about this contest too much. It was just Mr. Europe contest. But in 1972, I get ready for this show, and so when I come to Essen, he was in Germany. And I went to the gym, Franco and Arnold was there. And I talked to Franco. I said, "Hey, Franco, what are you doing here? You coming for the show?" He told me, "Yeah." I said, "You better go back to America because this show, no place for you. Because the competition will be between Arnold and Sergio and me." He thought I was joking, you know? So I said, "Oh, no, you're a good judge. Let's show each other. You can see each other, and then Franco can take his ticket back and go back to Joe." And so I was not joking, so we make some poses. Franco went to the phone, and he called Joe. He said, "I don't want to compete anymore." When he saw me, Joe told him, "Okay, if you don't want to compete, so you're going to pay your plane ticket yourself, so you have to compete." And about Zane, I think 2 days before he won the Mr. Universe in London, Naba, so he came for the Mr. Olympia. So when he saw some picture of me, and he come to the table, he says, Serge, I saw some picture of you. You look great. I said, which picture are you talking about? He says, the picture you just standing up like that. I say, oh, yeah, the picture I did last year. Oh, my goodness. No contest at all. But he was between Arnold, Sergio, and me. But I think Sergio should win this Mr. Olympia.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, Serge, who you thought was better at that show, Arnold or the great Sergio. Where did you find yourself in that mix? Where do you think you should have placed in that show?
I think, because it's difficult to judge yourself, because you don't see yourself when Arnold is posing or Sergio is posing, But for me, Sergio should win, and the battle should be between Arnold and me. But Arnold was not ripped, So he was bigger than me, but I was more ripped than him. So he could be me second, or Arnold second, or me third, Arnold third. It doesn't matter. Only the first place count, right?
Absolutely. Well, I got a question, honestly. I have been waiting for the answer for years, and I've got the exact guy here, Serge, that I need. Serge, in pumping iron, there comes a time where you guys are in the pumping up room, okay, in the pump room in the back. Arnold comes over and says something to you, and you respond something back. What does he say, and what is your response?
I don't remember. I think I tell him I will get you something like that. Something like that.
Dan, I played this over 1,000 times over the years. Maybe this is where we need a Sean Perrine or Peter McGuff. But Arnold puts his hand on your shoulder. He says something to you, and then you respond something back. It almost sounds like you say, "Nobody can touch you." But I cannot figure out for the life of me what you say.
Because this contest, I was in very, very good shape 12 days ago, before. 12 days before, I was very, very good shape. And when they saw me, the day after, they told me, you cannot compete. They did not tell me why. So I stopped training. I stopped dieting for 12 days. I lost 12 pounds. And then the day before the prejudging, they told me, okay, Serge, you can compete. I should say no, because, I was not ready anymore. My mind was not there. And then, but if I say no, all the people who support me, because they have a big story there. All the countries say, if Serge Nubret is not competing, no competition, not Mr. Universe, no Mr. Olympia. So I have to go on stage. But the day of the contest, Arnold was better than me. But 12 days before, no way. I was 212 and Arnold was 220. I was ripped. And after 12 days not dieting and not training, how many muscle you lost, right?
Sure.
So I was when I went to the contest, I was 200 pounds. So Arnold beat me, but 12 days before, no way, he could not beat me.
Well, Serge, if you looked that good 12 days before, why did you change anything? Why lose 12 pounds?
No, because I was so annoyed about what they said, when you have been training for 3 months for the contest and you come to the country, they tell you cannot compete. I stopped eating. I stopped training. I could not eat for 12 days. And I never went to the gym. I went to the gym only the first day when I arrived in South Africa. I never went to the gym again.
Well, I want to talk about that, Serge, for a second, because, and for our listeners, we're, of course, talking about that 75 Olympia, the one in Pretoria, South Africa. As most of you all recall, as Bob just mentioned, that was the focus of the film Pumping Iron. Of the 75 Olympia, it was supposed to be a battle between Arnold and Lou Ferrigno. You ended up finishing second ahead of Ferrigno. Serge, talk about that whole experience with Pumping Iron and the 75 Olympia, because I am told that the filmmakers actually weren't too pleased when you finished second, because it was supposed to be a battle between Ferrigno and Arnold.
Yeah, but they knew 2 or 3 months before I was going to compete. They come to Paris to shoot me, to show me how I train. They come to the gym. My wife was waiting, my daughter Karine, and then everything was perfect. Okay, so they shoot everything. But Lou come to Paris, I think, 2 weeks before, because the plane was leaving Paris to go to Pretoria. So he come because he was guest posing a show for me. But he did not know I was going to compete. So we trained together. He was fat like a pig, and then I make him lose about 30 pounds of fat. And so when he saw me competing in South Africa, he was surprised. Because he told me, when he saw me, he said, "Sir, you should compete to Mr. Olympia contest. You should compete." I said, "I don't know yet." He said, "Yeah, if you compete, you're going to beat Franco Colombo." But he did not know I was in the same class than him, because you have under 20, under 200, and over 200. Okay, so that's the way. So when he saw me competing with him, he was a little bit afraid, but he think he's a big guy, he's going to beat me, no. But I think 12 days before this contest, no way, nobody could touch me. No Arnold, no Lou Ferrigno.
Serge, so let me ask you this. You would go on to take second place to Arnold. Allegedly, as the story goes, you wouldn't sign the release for them to use more footage of you in pumping iron. Is that true?
Yeah, they come to France, they film me, you know. And, you know, before that I did about 15 movies before, big screen movie. And then they wrote me a letter to say, "Okay, Mr. Nubret, your part is very good, you know. We don't have a lot of money, we can give you $200. Okay? If they would tell me, "We don't have money, we cannot pay you," you know, that won't be an insult. That would be, say, okay, no problem, okay? But offer me $200, that was really an insult for me. And I said, "No, I don't want that." This is why they cut all the thing about me. And they said, the last entry, Serge Nubret, but they come to Paris 1 month before to film me. So they knew I was going to compete.
So then, just to be clear, the reason why your role in this film was not larger is simply because you didn't give them the authority to use the footage. That's correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Serge, let's move on now, because 1975, it would be the last year that you would compete in the IFBB. You would go on to compete in other organizations. You helped launch an organization called WABA. You were banned from the IFBB. I want you to talk about your career in bodybuilding after 1975.
So when after the Mr. Olympia in 1975, and so they suspended me just after the show. So I founded WABA, the World Amateur Bodybuilding Association, you know. And then Oscar Hildesheim from NABA was the president. I never been president of this country. So we moved on and was very good. And I won twice the Mr. World, WABA World contest. That was fine, everything. And then now I don't care anymore about federation, you know, because all bullshit, all the federation, you know. And so that's it. I don't believe too much in federation, you know. And I think Wida did a good job with IFBB, and I did a good job with WABA, and I am tired of all these politics things.
Serge, you were actually in charge of the IFBB from 1970 to 1975 for France and Europe. What were the events?
I was the first vice president of IFBB, just after Wida, after Ben Wida.
That's right. What were the events that led to your suspension after 1975?
Why?
Why?
That's a big story. I didn't want to go involved in that, you know, anymore, because I think Wida, not Wida himself. A lot of people around Wida think I was too powerful, and I want to take Wida's place, you know. So they say, Wida, be careful. Serge Nubret is going to be president, the next president of IFBB, and Wida believes them, you know. So the real equation was that, because I was not playing game. If we don't do something good, I said, Ben, that was very good what you did. But if sometime you don't follow the Constitution, I said, Ben, be careful that you cannot do that because the Constitution is against that, you know? Because everybody closed their mouth in front of Ben, you know? And I think Ben lacks some challenge too, because he lacks when you tell the truth. So after... I think the thing did not come really from Ben. It's people around him, all the presidents from each country from Europe. They think I was too powerful for them, so they try to ask Ben to kick me out from IFBB. Because Wida will never do that, because I help him too much with IFBB.
Serge, then talk about your relationship directly with Ben and Joe. Are you all on good terms today? Is there still some animosity? Talk about it.
No, I mean, Joe, I've never been involved with a federation. Joe is a nice guy. Every time I go to California, we talk together. Ben is a politician, you know, and you know that because you're inside of the game. But last time I saw Ben, I thought he was in Arnold contest in Ohio, in Columbus. And I talked to him. He wanted me to come back to IFBB. I said, no, I want to stay out of all this game. But now I think Ben did a good job from his part, you know. He did a good job for the bodybuilding sport. And I did the same kind of job too, in two different ways. But I think time is coming to change because I think bodybuilding is dying. It's dying, you know. Maybe Mr. Olympia is very popular now, but just Mr. Olympia. Before, after Mr. Olympia, you have a big tour all over Europe, go to Italy, France, everything. Now you don't have that anymore. And the bodybuilders, they look like, I don't know, I mean, it's not a good publicity for I don't even want to say I'm a bodybuilder anymore. You know, they look like freak, you know? Too much muscle. No aesthetic anymore. So I think something has to be changed of that.
Which is kind of ironic, Serge, that we're actually in a day that you would say the guys are too muscular even for bodybuilding.
Oh, yeah, it's too much. I mean, I remember the time with we have Arnold, Frank Zane, even Serge Oliva, Steve Reeves. We make a lot of movies, you know, Rich Park, you know. We make a lot of movies in Italy. Now, never they will take a bodybuilder to make a movie again. Never. Because that is not natural. It don't look natural. And they look like pregnant women. I mean, I'm a bodybuilder for 365 days a year. I don't want to be a bodybuilder for only 1 week a year.
Point well taken, Serge. And a testament to your training, which is what I wanted to get into next. You've got some legendary training principles that you followed, which really don't follow anything conventional. It's been rumored that you've been trained in the gym for 5 to 6 hours every day. You've done 2,000 sit-ups in a sitting for your abs. Talk to me a little bit about your training, Serge.
My training, you know, I did not learn how to train in any bodybuilder magazine. It was instinct, like animals. So I believe in the power of the mind, the power of the love you put in your sport, and the physical power. So I call that the three powers. The three powers, and the power and the mind and the emotional power and the mind power, they are the very strong power because it comes from inside. And the outside, the physical power will follow the two first powers. So that means if you love bodybuilding very much and you have a very strong mind, you will succeed, sure. Of course, we call that genetic count a little bit. But you can have a good genetic, and if you don't have the power of the mind and power of, if you don't love bodybuilding, you never succeed. But you can have a poor genetic, but if you have the two other power, you will succeed. And so I arrived in some, I never use very heavy weight to train. Like I can bench press about, I would say a little bit more than 500 pounds on bench press. But I used to train with less than 200 pounds. But that don't mean it's lightweight because I stay only maximum 30 seconds between sets. So I'm looking for the pump. But for doing that, you have to eat a lot. I used to eat about 4 kilos of red meat a day. So that's about 9 pounds, okay? And I used to eat a lot of rice, beans, who have a lot of protein too. I never took a protein powder in my life.
Serge, you've always talked about the power of the mind, body, and spirit, but I want to get right into the nuts and bolts here. You've said on many occasions that you'll do as many as 50 sets per body part per workout. Is that true?
Yeah, for big, let's say for chest, back, legs, but not for arms. Arms I do only 15, 18 sets. Yeah, a lot. But because, you know why? Because I could eat so much. I could eat a lot of food. So I have to train hard for not being fat. I was eating about, I will say, 800 grams of protein a day.
Wow.
So, so I have to train hard, if not I will be fat. And so I love to eat and I love to train, so it was perfect for me. But not everybody can do that.
Serge, it's no secret that you advocated very high repetitions, very high sets, like I say, hours and hours in the gym. Did it ever occur to you that you may be overtraining, that maybe taking a step back might have been the way to go?
I don't believe in overtraining. It's like if you have a Ferrari, okay? If you put petrol on it, it go far, you know? Of course, you cannot train like me and eat 100 grams of protein or milkshake. You cannot do that. You have to train. You have to eat hard too. If you train hard, you have to eat hard. I was eating about 5,000 calories every day. You know, for example, I do to start just warm up. I do 2,000 sit-ups, one set or 2,000 sit-ups.
Wow.
But it's not for. I was not doing that for abs. I was doing that just for be in good health, you know. Because I prefer to do 2,000 sit-ups and go home and eat what I want than to eat just a little bit rice and some chicken without salt, you know, and do 5 minutes sit-ups. I can't do that. I never diet in my life, never.
And this would surprise a lot of people, Serge, because I have obviously done my research on your training as well. But you know, you're right. You never dieted, and you also never did cardio. So your training and your the rate of the speed of your training was all you ever did to get ready for competition. Is that right?
Yeah, but my training is already cardio because it's only 20 seconds or 30 second reps between sets. And when you do 2,000 sit-ups, you don't need to do cardio anymore.
Hey Bob, you did 2,000 sit-ups, I think, last year combined. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's some. I mean, when you talk about, you know, again, conventional training methods, everything today has gone the other way. Everything has gone less sets, training less often, taking more time in between sets. What Serge did was certainly ahead of its time in terms of cardio. I do have to ask you this, Serge. When you were getting ready for a competition, then how did you get it, you know, whittle it down? How did you get less fat off you? Did you increase, the time of your training, or did you decrease carbs? How did you do it?
I increased my training. I never decreased my diet. I still eat the same. I just take a little bit less carb, but I still train harder, faster, and long reps, and maybe 20-second reps, rest between sets. That's it. But I never changed too much my diet.
Serge, we often talk...
Is why somewhere I'm still there. I still train 3 hours a day. I'm 70 years old now.
Serge, I got to ask you, you know, we often talk about Arnold and Franco and Ferrigno. Everyone's familiar with those guys. It's worth mentioning you have had quite a life as well. You've appeared in 25 films. You were on a television series. You came very close to winning the Olympia. Why is the name Serge Nubret not as well known as many of the other guys that we often talk about?
Because I'm not American. I live in Europe. If I will move in California, everybody will know. I went in California maybe once a year, you know. Is why. But in Europe, I'm very well known. I used to do about 50 guest spots every year. So, and I think because they never put me on magazine, really, because I never make publicity for no protein. I never did that. They asked me to do that. I said no. I never take it. I don't want to talk about something I don't use. You know, the only people who really take care of me was Bob Kennedy. He put some nice article about me, but never they put me too much on magazine. You know.
Serge, back in that day, back in those 70s, when everybody was moving to California, including Arnold and Franco and some of the guys that enjoyed that success. How did you resist the temptation to move to California?
Because, what I can say, Joe asked me to come to over there to sign a contract with him, you know. I said, Joe, you don't have money. You don't have enough money to pay me. He said, how come? I said, because you pay me $10,000. I talk about, 40 years ago, eh? I said, you have to pay me $10,000 a month in my bank in Paris. And then you give me a car, a house, a driver, everything. He said, you're very expensive. I said, I told you, you don't have money. You cannot pay me.
You weren't asking for too much then, right?
No, but, I mean, I was making a lot of movies in France. I was making movies I would never do if I was in America. And I have so powerful mind. I can imagine Arnold training, Frank Zen training, Serge Nubret training. So I don't have to be next to them to be in good shape. So with my mind, I could see them into my mind and train harder. Because I say, okay, see if I cannot stop now because maybe they will do one more set than me, you know. So it was fine for me. You have to go there. I mean, if you have a weak mind, to be with a guy, but if you have a poor mind, you don't have to be there. You can be far away and you can see them in your thought, you know.
Serge, you wrote a book. It's called I Am, Me, and God in English. I have not read it, but the summary of the book says that it's a unique and sometimes disturbing vision of the world, of religion, and of humanhood. The book deeply challenges the reader's beliefs and assumptions. Serge, tell us about this book.
Oh, the book, it was, I mean, it's not a bodybuilder book. It's more, I took my bodybuilding life to explain things I believe in, you know. I mean, I took the religion, like every religion comes from Judaism, you know. So the Catholicism and even how we call that the Muslim is coming from Judaism. Okay, so when I say I am, I don't say Serge Nubret is, you know, because in the Bible they say when they ask God what his name, he say I am, you know, just I am.
Sure. So
that means when I say I am, say where I come from. I come from God. And then who I am, me, when I say me, is who is Serge Nubret, my life on earth. And God is mean, when you die, where are you going? Where are you going? So, so this book has 3 parts. So the first part is where I come from, second part, who I am, and the third part, when I finish, I die, where I'm going to. So it's kind of a philosophic book, you know. Religion is a philosophic book. That don't mean I believe in God, of course, but I don't believe any religion.
Well, Serge, we can only hope that when your time comes, as Reg Park has and many of the greats and Steve Reeves, that we will all be in one big federation in the sky.
No, I hope we have a federation over there, you know. We are waiting. Maybe I will meet Weed over there in heaven, and we make a federation in heaven, you know.
There you go.
But I hope me and Weed will work before that on earth.
Serge, you touched a little bit about modern bodybuilding today. Who do you believe, as you look at the guys competing today, who do you believe best represents the Serge Nubret physique?
Oh my God, no one. I mean, they're too big. I mean, if I'm sorry to say that, but if I want to look, someone is have a physique like mine, I have to look in maybe the 15, 17 place, you know. You know, I mean, what's the name of this guy? You have a nice physique, but now he's coming to be too big too already.
Who's this?
I forget them because I'm not following too much bodybuilding now. For me, it's not. It's killing the sport. Really, it's killing the sport. I mean, it's good when you go to Las Vegas to see all this big, but it don't look like a sport thing. He looked like more a big fair of a big guy. You know what I mean?
I think if you sat in the audience and you got to look at a Durham Charles or a Troy Alves or a David Henry, it might make
exactly.
Yeah.
It's why I think that have to come back like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You have to be. I mean, bodybuilding will grow up so much if they come back to this. Nobody want to be like a Coleman or a Kettler anymore. They don't want that. They are freak. It's like you want to go to the fair to see a big thing, you know? But when you say someone, you want to be like that, no, I want to see them, but I don't want to be like that. So if you don't want to be like that, I mean, who will tell you, I don't want to run the 100 meters in 9 seconds? Everybody would like to do that, right?
Sure.
So if someone say, okay, I want to see that, but I don't want to be like that. No way.
Serge, and this may be a rhetorical question, but is there an answer to it, or is it simply that it's just gotten to a point, like all sports, runners get faster, baseball players get more skilled, Tiger Woods comes out and starts beating records all over the place. Is it just something that has progressed to a point with bodybuilding that it's just gotten too big? I mean, will it get bigger after this?
No. The problem is, if I was involved again, maybe if we listen to me, I will say, okay, someone who sells protein, or nutrition company cannot be president of the federation. Because, of course, even if I'm sure we don't like what he's seeing, he's see now. But he cannot tell people, because he let people think if you take with a protein, you will become big like that. But most of the bodybuilders, they don't eat the supplements like that. They eat chicken, all these things. But for the big public, who represent in America 300 million people, they let people think if you eat that, you can be big like that. So it's why this thing is killing bodybuilding. Because the people who sell the supplements are in head of the federation.
Serge, I know a lot of people out there have continued to support you and followed your career. I know you wanted to say some hellos to some of the folks out there. You want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I would say hello to everybody who want to make bodybuilding become a bigger and bigger sport and try to have bodybuilding growing everywhere. And I don't know. I would like to say hello to Arnold, hello to Zane, Dave Draper. I love Dave Draper because he's a very nice guy. Serge Oliva, Franco, John Brown, Lou Ferrigno, Mohamed Makawi, who stayed with me 3 months. When he won the Mr. Universe in London, in Canada, he trained with me for 3 months. So all these guys, I think, was the the best part of the bodybuilding before.
Serge, I'd like to thank you for taking this time out. I'd also like to prematurely wish you a happy 70th birthday party coming up in October, which is ultimately amazing if people were to see your physique. And I know you have a website that people can go to if you want to give that a plug.
Yeah, my website, people want to know more about me, they can go to sergenubret.com, and they have everything about me there. And, I'm posting a lot on Get Big, and I'm posting also on bodybuilding.com. You know how many pages I have there? I have 340 pages on bodybuilding.com.
And for those who haven't seen it, go to the IFBB Pro section on bodybuilding.com, located in the forums, and Serge is on there literally every day, 340 pages long, and I got to say, probably 300 of those pages are training related. So if you want to know about the training that Serge believes in, and he has become successful as one of the best in the world, please visit the IFBB Pro section at bodybuilding.com.
Yeah. I would like to say hello to Arnold too. Maybe I hope to see him in the Arnold Classic next year, yeah. Definitely.
Well, he is the legendary Serge Nubret, and of course still the very popular Serge Nubret. And just as he just pointed out, you can contact Serge at his website, sergenubret.com. Serge, thanks so much for coming on the show. We enjoyed it.
Thank you. I thank you very much.
And we also want to thank our good friend Angela, along with Joe Brandwine, for helping us put this interview together. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we return, we're going to tell you all about the Muscle Tech $50,000 transformation contest presented by Body Space. Then later in the show, it's off to Las Vegas, where Larry is standing by for this week's edition of Pep Talk. Of course, a big welcome to those of you listening on the growing PBW Global Broadcast Network, broadcasting bodybuilding talk radio on the most popular websites in the world. We're back after the break.
You're listening to the Pro Bodybuilding Weekly Global Broadcast Network. Now broadcasting on the world's most popular bodybuilding websites, including Flex Online, Get Big, Muscle Mayhem, Muscle Time, IFBBPro.com, and on bodybuilding.com. The world's #1 most visited bodybuilding website, Pro Bodybuilding Weekly, the voice of professional bodybuilding. When top pro bodybuilders hit the stage, they need to be shredded to the bone with body fat in the single digits if they want to get the attention of the fans and judges. Do you want to be that shredded? Then you need America's #1 hardcore fat burner, Hydroxycut Hardcore. Hydroxycut Hardcore uses 5 scientifically researched mechanisms of action to help you burn fat fast. The potent Hydroxycut Hardcore formula has been supercharged with microdispersion and nano-diffuse technology to deliver precise amounts of clinically engineered ingredients fast. So if you want to torch off the fat and get peeled to the bone, you need the world's most powerful hardcore fat burner, Hydroxycut Hardcore. Available at GNC, and get it now at bodybuilding.com.
Have you hit a plateau, not making any progress? In your quest to break through that plateau and get bigger, stronger, and more muscular, First Order by Body Well Nutrition is just what the doctor ordered. First Order is a cutting-edge, hardcore, pre, during, and post-workout supplement that'll greatly increase your ability to pound out the sets and the reps. With First Order, you'll train harder, train longer, and you'll gain lean body mass like there's no tomorrow. And for the ladies, First Order will help you perform cardio harder and longer so that body fat will just burn right off. First Order contains a proprietary blend of ingredients that include beta-alanine, which has been proven by science to help you fight the fatigue-causing effects of lactic acid and increase endurance capacity by over 30%. First Order also contains alpha-GPC to give that pinpoint focus needed in the gym or on the playing field. Purchase First Order at select health food retailers and now at bodybuilding.com. Don't settle for second place. Buy First Order now. Available at bodybuilding.com.
Welcome back to the voice of professional bodybuilding. Presented by Team Muscle Tech and brought to you by bodybuilding.com and by Flex Magazine. Visit the show online at bodybuildingradio.com. Now back to Dan and Bob.
All right, this segment is brought to you by Team Muscle Tech's Nano Vapor, the world's strongest vasoanabolic psychoactive workout experience. You can get on America's #1 selling pre-workout formula, Nano Vapor, available now at the bodybuilding.com cyber store. Bob, it was good catching up with Serge Nubret. You know, over the years, we've heard several stories as to why Serge was banned from the IFBB, but I have to say, at almost 70 years old, it sounded a lot like Serge was extending somewhat of an olive branch to the Federation, and most notably to Ben Weider.
Well, you know, Dan, I mean, you're talking over 30 years ago at this point. I mean, it's got to the point of, I mean, I'm not even so sure these guys can remember exactly what the events were that led up to some of these things, and there was a lot of that went on back then. So I hope it really is. I mean, I'd like to see that type of thing patched up, you know, and now these later stages, Serge is 70, obviously Joe and Ben Weider into their 80s, and, you know, you're right. It sounded like he had all the best intentions and you know, didn't want to start any type of war. I do have to say, Dan, I've got to give Serge major props for saying that the Mr. Olympia physique that he would find to be worthy, he'd have to go down to 17th, 18th place at the Mr. Olympia to find that physique. To me, that's the guy to have on the panel.
Bob, I knew you were going there, of course. Bob Ciccarello, circa, what was that, 2002, 18th place at the Olympia. So I guess Serge was trying to send a subliminal message out there. That
there's a guy who knows what he's looking at. There's a guy who says, now that's the Mr. Olympia ideal in physique. I say, Serge Nubret, I tell you what, I'm going to write a letter to Ben myself. Get this guy in the damn judging panel. I'm coming back, Dan.
There you go. Well, the one undeniable fact, though, about Serge is that he's an absolute animal in the gym. We've heard about his 5-hour workouts, his 50 sets per body part, and these claims have been supported, Bob, by several people we know who have trained with Serge or have seen him in the gym. Bob, this guy's hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore. He was hardcore before the word hardcore existed. That was just his training style. But, yeah, this has been documented from many, many people over the years. This wasn't internet stuff years ago where everybody was a champion and a millionaire and, had 22-inch guns. This guy had legendary 5-6 hour workouts, and we're only talking a few years ago. I mean, he's not kidding when he said he stayed in shape 365 days a year. You almost never can find a picture of Serge Nubret, quote, off-season. He was always in condition, always came to play. And, 2,000 abs in one set, it's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. And, Serge, he's still a popular figure over there in Europe, especially in France. But, why do you think that we don't hear a lot about Serge? I asked him that question, especially when you consider that he defeated a lot of the guys that we often put on a pedestal. Most notably, he's beaten Zane. He's beaten Colombo. Serge beats these guys, but he doesn't get nearly the accolades those guys get.
I think he summed it up fairly well. I mean, he's not here in America. He made no bones about it. He never really wanted to make this his permanent home. He's been over here a handful of times, literally, in all these years. But anybody who's that great, who primarily stays in Europe, doesn't get that kind of recognition, especially here, in American bodybuilding. The people that kind of stay on. Don't forget also, Dan, I mean, he wasn't part of the Federation anytime after 1975. So, just those two factors alone is a reason that the name Serge Nubret always kind of seems to escape through the cracks of when you start bringing up the greats. And, when you bring up the greats, they're either American or they're certainly Europeans. Obviously, Arnold is the first one that comes to mind. Franco. There's plenty of Europeans, but they all made their way here in that mass exodus to Venice, California back in the 70s.
I want to go ahead and thank Serge Nubret once again for joining us. Of course, you can contact him at sergenubret.com, and when you're done doing that, make sure you head over to bodyspace.com and enter the $50,000 Muscle Tech Transformation Challenge. Bob, tell us about it.
The Muscle Tech Transformation Challenge, my friend. This is going to be a big one. It's $50,000 worth of prize, which is absolutely huge when it comes to Transformation Series. I don't think there's been a bigger one that's been out there yet. Some of the details, very, very simple. Bottom line is go to Body Space. You have to have a Body Space membership in order to actually participate in this. So basically, this is a big competition amongst Body Space members. And there's lots of stuff that goes through it. $25,000 in cash, supplements, clothing. Like I say, it's a $50,000 package, Dan. So, what can I tell you? Get in there, guys. Go to bodybuilding.com. Get on Body Space. Create yourself a Body Space profile page, and we'll go on from there. Also, Dan, a VIP trip to Las Vegas to see the 2008 Mr. Olympia and a day with two-time Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler thrown in for the mix.
And you're also, I'm told, going to get a chance to be featured in a major bodybuilding magazine. And if you miss the top prize, you're still going to have a chance to win. They're giving away $3,000 cash runner-up prizes, and that contest began on March 24th. You can still enter, and it's available, of course, only to Body Space members, Bob, as you just mentioned. So set up your profile if you haven't done so already. I think bodyspace.com is already over 160,000 strong and growing fast. So go ahead and do that. This portion of tonight's show has been brought to you by Dr. Navarro's Vein Center of the Palm Beaches, by MuscleTime.com, and by the popular news service. It's called Muscle Phone. It's a free service. Just text the word muscle to 64274. It's that simple. You'll always be in the know. Bob, I do want to give a quick shout out to our good friend Triple H. I spoke to him during the week. He and his wife Stephanie, they're expecting a baby. But the big guy was in the ring last night for WrestleMania 24. And Bob, I saw some of the highlights. Got to say, he's still in great shape. Last night he was in a three-way match with Johnny Cena and Randy Orton for the title. Apparently, Triple H took out Cena, but in the end, Randy Orton wins it, retains that title.
But I tell you, boy, once again, the WWE, nobody does it better. Any WrestleMania is always worth the money, Dan. We've talked about that For anybody who's out there, you want some good entertainment, boy, that's the way to go. Also, Dan, I know we got seconds left. Speaking of having babies, a shout-out to my old bro, Chris Cook, and his wife, Denise, gave birth to baby Rocky over this past weekend. So congratulations to the Cooks and Rocky Cook making her way to the world of bodybuilding.
Rocky Cook, and I'm told we're about 4 weeks away from the addition of a new member of the Sean Ray family. So we'll keep you apprised on that. Lots of new life coming into this world. Triple H remains a big bodybuilding fan, and perhaps he'll join us here on the show once again soon. But first, we've reached the end of hour number 1 here on Pro Bodybuilding Weekly. Don't go anywhere. Larry is standing by in Las Vegas with Johnny Jackson for tonight's edition of Pep Talk. Big thanks to our guest, Serge Nubret. For Bob Ciccarello, I'm Dan Solomon. Pep Talk starts right now.
You're listening to bodybuilding's #1 rated multimedia production, the Pro Bodybuilding Weekly Broadcast Network. Now broadcasting on more than 30 of the world's most popular bodybuilding and fitness websites, including bodybuilding.com, the #1 most visited bodybuilding website in the world. Stand by for this week's edition of Pep Talk with bodybuilding insider Larry Pepe, live from Las Vegas. Pro Bodybuilding Weekly's Pep Talk is live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome to another edition of Pep Talk. I am your host, Larry Pepe. Have to say that was pretty fascinating hearing from Serge Nubret, not just on the history, but his training and nutrition. I think he said 800 grams of protein a day. I can't even imagine. But obviously it worked for him, so it was nice to have him on. Also nice to have on Uriah Faber, WEC featherweight champion. We had him on the last edition of Pep Talk, and the episode was so well received that it was actually picked up by some prominent MMA blogs and chat rooms and things like that. So that was nice to see. People seem to enjoy the interview. And in that vein, UFC Fight Night 13 is this Wednesday night, and I have a preview of that event if you're interested on bodybuilding.com. This is the UFC's return to Colorado, where it all originated from back in 1993. And they have truly outdone themselves. This card is stacked, so much so that fans actually wrote in to Spike TV, started a campaign to expand the show from 2 hours to 3 hours because of the number of pay-per-view quality fights. And the entire televised card is previewed on bodybuilding.com, so I'd recommend, if you're a fan of the UFC, and at this point I think most of us are, give it a read, and it'll get you ready and prepared for the event. Tonight we go back to our roots. And my guest today in 2001 won the light heavyweight class at the USA Championships, then went on to win the light heavyweight and overall titles at Nationals, making him one of only a handful of bodybuilders to ever win both events in the same year. Since turning pro, he has competed in 31 IFBB pro shows with 13 top 5 finishes and 2 titles under his belt, the 2006 Montreal and 2007 Atlantic City Pro Shows. And he also scored his first top 10 finish at the 2007 Olympia. But perhaps he is best known for being the strongest pound-for-pound bodybuilder in the world. And this month he graces the cover of Flex magazine for the second time. Johnny Jackson, welcome to Pep Talk.
Hey, thank you, Larry. Man, that sounded good.
It does, huh?
Yeah, it did.
Well, it's all true, and I got to be honest, when I was kind of looking back over your history, I didn't realize that you've competed in that many shows, 31 IFBB pro shows.
Yeah, that took me by surprise. I guess I haven't counted them up myself. I was like, man, that means I'm getting kind of old, huh?
Well, I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, you have 13 top 5 finishes in 31 shows. There are not a lot of guys out there who you wouldn't immediately think of as being in the upper echelon of the sport who can claim that. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much, Larry.
And congratulations on the Flex cover. This is number 2.
I know, it's unbelievable. I had no idea. And even at the Arnold, I didn't know right away, and I got in the elevator, and one of the expediters had the magazine, and he was like, we're just talking about the guy, here he is. And he took the magazine out. I was like, oh, my goodness, are you kidding me? And he was like, you didn't know this? I was like, no. And he was like, oh, I figured you'd be like, oh, I don't have time for that. I got to focus on Arnold. I don't have time to look at this cover. But I was like, no, it was a total surprise to me, and it's definitely a blessing.
Cool, Johnny.
So, an honor, definitely.
I'm not anticipating Flex putting me on the cover anytime soon. So share with people, like, when that issue comes out, does everyone at the gym go wild? Do people start coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I saw you on Flex"? Like, what is that like for you as the athlete?
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. Especially, when you get done the shows, just getting done the Ironman and the Arnold, and then you come off the high of preparing and getting on stage and performing and stuff like this, then, you start getting on a little bit of a low. And the year didn't start out exactly the way I wanted it to, but I did qualify for Olympia, so thank God for that. But like I said, you start coming down off of everything and start getting a little stagnant there, and, then to see this come out is just like, oh my goodness, so it's very motivational. And yeah, friends and family and everything start calling. I start getting text messages and stuff like that. And definitely people start bringing the magazine to the gym for me to sign. So it's pretty cool. It's like, hey, somebody actually liked me out there. So it's pretty cool.
Well, apparently the people at Flex like you because you're on the cover for the second time. And you're not just on the cover, but there is an article in this issue that's on newsstands now called Power Surge, which details how to add 20 pounds to your bench and 50 pounds to your squat in 16 weeks. And, of course, they spoke to you about that because you have a pretty well-standing reputation in the industry for being not just a bodybuilder but a power lifter. And
definitely.
You use powerlifting in your training.
I would have no other way, definitely.
Now, Johnny, do you consider yourself, like if someone came up to you and said, "Are you a bodybuilder or a powerlifter?" Like, which one is more your passion? Which one is it?
Oh, I'm a bodybuilder. Definitely a bodybuilder by heart. The powerlifting is just something that I like to do, and I always lifted heavy. I didn't start out, like a lot of people got it mixed up thinking I was a powerlifter first and then became a bodybuilder. And I guess in so many words I was a powerlifter because I always lifted heavy. And I always tell people this, that when I was in ninth grade, just beginning ninth grade, I did a powerlifting meet, and I was able to do 305 at the bench press meet.
In the ninth grade?
Ninth grade, like during the summer, getting ready going to football camp. And so that was really cool to be able to do that. So I've been strong like this my whole life. I've been working out since I was 8 years old. My brother started me out, and I never looked back.
Now, Johnny, talk about that connection between building strength and building muscle mass. Why is that so important?
Well, I always say there's so many different ways to work out, and not necessarily any one of them are wrong. What works for me is the powerlifting, is the heavy lifting. I just think you just stimulate a lot more lean muscle. You start to combine different muscles, into your exercise, so you start stimulating a lot more muscle. You'll be able to get a lot denser muscle a lot quicker also by lifting heavy weight. And my body responds so well to it. So it's what's worked for me, definitely.
And for people that are beginners, because obviously our listenership runs the gamut, from the teenager who's just getting involved in the sport to seasoned veterans and pros. But I think it's important for them to understand that there's a direct relationship between getting stronger and getting bigger.
Definitely. I think so. I think the most important thing, if you don't mind, I like to touch on nutrition first. Because if you're not eating right, and not getting enough nutrition in to your body, then you're not going to be able to lift anything at all. Whether you're trying to power lift or whether you're doing just circuits or you're just doing drop sets, you're not going to be able to lift anything at all, because, nutrition is first and the most important thing. So if you don't mind, I'll run down a little bit of, my eating habits,
don't mind.
Right now.
That's music to my ears, Johnny. Go for it.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll give everybody a couple seconds to grab a pen and a paper, just in case you don't have it, because you'll get a lot of information during this segment. So We'll give you a couple seconds here.
All right.
Okay,
Well, listen, if they don't have a pen and paper, they can listen to the replay. So go ahead, get started.
Yeah. Here we go. When I first wake up in the morning, I drink a Mesotech shake from Muscle Tech. One of the best shakes I ever had in my life. It's drinkable. It tastes great. You know, I don't really like shakes, but these shakes are excellent. And your body can, break it down very easy, and absorb very easy. So my first thing is 12 ounces of water in a Mesotech shake. Okay, then about an hour after that, I eat breakfast, 10 egg whites and a bowl of oatmeal, and possibly like a couple pieces of toast also. Then after that, I'll go ahead and take my Gacket and Lucas, because I work out also in the morning. So I go ahead and take that right after I eat breakfast, get to the gym, and of course, I have to drink my Nano Vapor. If you want an excellent workout and be able to charge through your workout the whole time, Nano Vapor is definitely the supplement for you, because it's definitely the supplement for me.
Now, Johnny, I want to jump in real quick. This is how you eat off season, or this is how you eat pre-contest?
No, right now. This is what I'm eating right now, so I'm off season.
Okay, so for people that are listening, this is what you do to add mass. This is not what you do to get shredded.
Definitely.
Okay,
so, after I take my Nano Vapor, a few minutes after that, I get to the gym. About 7:30 in the morning, I work out. Then I go ahead and make my Cell-Tech, my Cell-Tech drink, and I use Gatorade, 12 ounces of Gatorade, when I drink it during my workout. Why I do that is my mentor right now, Milos, taught me one of the most important things that I could learn, and that is like 80% of your blood is pumping into the working muscles, as you work out, of course, as you exercise. So you don't want empty blood to enter into your muscles. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Why not saturate your blood with the vitamins and nutrition and, creatine, all the stuff that you need for instant muscle repair and growth. Mm-hmm. So that's why I use Cell-Tech and I use Gatorade also. Just a little bit extra carbs also. And within the Gatorade, to help saturate my muscles. So I make my Cell-Tech drink, then I work out. Okay, after I work out, I'll have a hollow drink. I'll take the Halo. I'll drink that. Very important Muscle Tech supplement for, it helps pushes more free-form testosterone into the muscles for more muscle growth, bigger pump. Excellent supplement. Right after that, I'll have a steak and about 12 ounces of potato.
How big is the steak, Johnny?
Huh?
How big is the steak? How many ounces
12
are you eating?
12 ounces of steak and 12 ounces of potato and 2 cups of broccoli.
Because I got to be honest with you, after hearing that Serge was eating 800 grams of protein a day, I have to ask, because for all I know, that's like a 4-pound steak.
Right. Right. My goodness. I heard that. So right after that, I'll eat that. Then about an hour after that, I'll drink a Nitro Tech shake. Always important to keep your protein levels up, of course. About 3 hours after that, I'm off season, so I'll eat whatever I want. These days, usually pizza is my favorite cheat meal. So I'll have anywhere from pizza to McDonald's to pasta, whatever comes in my mind, whatever I want to eat that day.
All right, now I got to stop you because you brought McDonald's into it, all right? And I remember when I interviewed you for the Pre-Contest Bible, that was I think about 3-4 years ago. And you told me that you were eating McDonald's 3 times a day, a dozen donuts a day, Sprite.
It was unbelievable. It was just awful. I mean, now I can look at it now and look back and be like, you knucklehead.
But Johnny, you got to tell the story.
Yourself. But,
you have to
definitely.
Tell the story
I was eating McDonald's as often as I possibly can get there, and definitely my dozen of donuts in the morning. I was making people in the gym sick when I walk into the gym. So,
But you have to tell the story about the friend of yours.
I didn't hear you.
You have to tell the story about the friend of yours who thought that's why you were so muscular. Yeah,
it was pretty funny. I knew you were going to bring that up. We talked about it back then also.
Actually, Joe Cherry, his name was, and he was a cop with Ronnie. I think they were partners here and there. Went on different runs here and there and stuff like that. And his girlfriend told me, she was like, Johnny, I'm going to kill you. And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, you know, we've been watching you come in every morning with those dozen of donuts, eating those donuts. You know, so Joe was thinking, maybe that's why Johnny's getting that big, getting bigger and growing so fast and this, that, and the other, you know, from eating those. So he was like, I'm going to try it. So then he started doing the same thing, and he just got fat. And she was like, I'm going to kick your behind, because he just started following you, and you know what I mean? Now he just got, you know, he just gained so much weight and got so much fatter and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I didn't, you know, that wasn't my intention. I just wanted to, you know, be a glutton, more or less, you know what I mean? But
all right. Well, listen, Johnny, I hope he's listening to this episode so he gets the right off-season program for him now. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to go to a quick break, and when you come back, we're going to finish up on your nutrition. Then we're going to get into more specifics of how you would tell people to integrate bodybuilding and powerlifting for the best off-season gains that they can have. I'm Larry Pepe. He's Johnny Jackson. We're going to go to our first break, and we'll be right back.
Attention bodybuilding fans. Professional bodybuilding is now broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Pro Bodybuilding Weekly. Talk radio for bodybuilding fans. Join hosts Dan Solomon and Bob Ciccarello as they welcome the biggest names in the Iron Game. Legends like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Columbu, Lou Ferrigno. Present-day superstars like Ronnie Coleman. And now, the exclusive broadcast home of Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler. Presented by Muscle Tech and brought to you by bodybuilding.com and by Flex Magazine. The home of bodybuilding talk radio is now online at bodybuildingradio.com. Pro Bodybuilding Weekly, the voice of professional bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding.com super site has over 17,000 pages of bodybuilding and fitness information, including updated training and nutrition articles, supplement reviews, chat rooms, NPC and IFBB contest coverage, Pro Bodybuilding Weekly Radio, and home to the only bodybuilding TV show on the net, Bodybuilding.com's Fit Show. Looking for supplements? No problem. Come on over to the Cyber Store where Bodybuilding.com has every supplement you'll ever need. With over 5,000 products from all the major brands, Bodybuilding.com has the lowest prices guaranteed and fastest shipping anywhere. Bodybuilding.com is the most complete bodybuilding site in the world.
Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger talks bodybuilding. Replays of prior broadcasts available now on demand at bodybuildingradio.com. Welcome back to the voice of professional bodybuilding. Presented by Team Muscle Tech and brought to you by bodybuilding.com and by Flex Magazine. Visit the show online at bodybuildingradio.com.
All right, I'm Larry Pepe. I'm back with Johnny Jackson on this edition of Pep Talk. And Johnny, when we broke, well, I want you to finish your diet, not the McDonald's and donut diet, but the real diet that you were telling people for the off season. I know you were kind of in the middle of it. Finish up those meals, and then let's get into training.
Sounds good. Yeah, just after my cheat meal, I'll have for about 3 hours after that, I'll have 12 ounces of salmon and 2 cups of white rice and more broccoli, about a cup of broccoli. And then 3 hours after that, I'll have a Nitrotech shake before bed. And that's what I'm eating. That's how I eat right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
All right, so that's your off-season nutrition. Now, I want to get into your off-season training because I know, we've talked and you've shared with me that you really do shift to a powerlifting-oriented program for the off-season to gain muscle. And I think a lot of people are interested in exactly how you do that because so many of us are used to doing, typical off-season bodybuilding-only workouts, and this might be a way for people to shock their system and get some additional growth.
Definitely.
So, how about we start with how you split the body parts, and then we'll get into some specifics in terms of set and rep schemes and things like that.
Sounds good. Mondays, I do chest, in the morning, and then I'll come back and do a light bicep and tricep workout. Tuesdays is heavy legs in the morning. Then I'll come back in the afternoon and do some light extra hamstring work. That's on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'll do heavy bis and tri workout in the morning. Come back and do calf training and ab training in the afternoon. Thursday is heavy shoulder day in the morning, and I'll take off and just do like 30 minutes of cardio in the evening. And Friday is back day, and that's when I deadlift. So it's heavy deadlift day, and then rest of the accessory exercises for back. And then Saturday I'll come in and do another quad training day.
Okay, so when you're talking about set and rep schemes, because I never power lifted, and I've always just envisioned it like heavy, heavy, heavy. How would you integrate that powerlifting into your bodybuilding? Like let's pick a body part. You can pick it, and take me through that body part and exactly how you train it in terms of sets and reps and the type of exercise choices that you make.
Okay. One thing I like to mention is setting a goal for yourself, a weight goal for each, power lift, which I mean bench, deadlift, and squat. That's one thing. Once you set a certain weight goal, then you set so many weeks out to accomplish, that weight goal. Myself, I'm getting ready to do a powerlifting meet, so that's my, June 28th and 29th, so that's my date of when I want to accomplish that, the weight goal that I set for myself. Now, I'll back up and go, depending on how I feel, 12, 14 weeks training cycle for myself to reach that weight goal. And we'll say chest. Say if it's Monday, chest day. Okay. And I'll start out with bench, of course, because bench press is actually the exercise I'll perform in the powerlifting meet. And that's one of the exercises that you would set a goal for. So I start out with that, and I'll, warm up, a couple sets of warm up, 10 to 15 reps, and then I'll get into my work sets, which will be 3 work sets, no more than 5 reps. And that's on the earlier going. That's probably the first, say 5 to 6 weeks where I'm doing 5 reps because that's going to be the lightest amount of weight. As I get closer and closer to, doing my, the goal day of my weight, I'll, drop the reps down, that last set from, 5 to 3, from 3 to 2, and from 2 to 1, depending on how close I am to that goal day.
Okay.
And so we're doing bench first, and I get to my work sets. It's 5 reps. That's it. 3 sets, 5 reps on bench press. So we're doing, at that time, probably about 50% of the max. And each week I'll go up 5% each week. Okay. Next week I'll do 55. Next week I'll do 60. As long as I'm doing 5 reps. If I don't accomplish 5 reps, then I'll do the same weight the following week until I get 5 reps, and then I'll move up in percentage.
Okay. Now, Johnny, let me ask you this. You talked about 5 reps in the beginning and then going down to 3, 2, 1. Right. And I know you have an actual powerlifting meet coming up, so it's important for you to do that.
Right.
If you didn't have a powerlifting meet coming up, or you were advising a bodybuilder who's not going to competitively lift, would you have them stay at the 5 rep range? Like,
no,
do you
I
think
would
that's
have
the
them,
best?
like I said, I would set a goal date, okay. You know what I mean? And then I would start, depending on what you're comfortable with, 12 to 14 weeks out.
Gotcha.
And then as you get closer to that goal day, you want to drop your, reps because you want to conserve your energy and your strength to get that one lift on that goal day.
Okay.
It's definitely helping you because you're constantly using heavier and heavier weight, as you train, week in and week out.
Okay.
So you're stimulating more lean muscle tissue each week, more and more each week.
All right.
You're getting heavier and you're stimulating more.
Okay. So now let's take people through the rest of chest so they get an example to work with of the other types of movements that you integrate.
No problem. Then I'll move over to floor presses, where you're laying on the floor, and I'm in a squat rack, or somewhat like a cage. And I have someone hand me the bar, and my hand placement is, a whole hand in from where I normally bench from. And so I'll bring my elbows once my elbows hit the ground, I'll count 1,001, press up. Back down, 1,001, press up. Okay, and I'm doing 2 sets of that, 5 reps. Okay, then I move over to telephone book presses, and that's done on the regular bench press with 2 telephone books taped together, sitting on your chest.
Okay.
And so you same thing with your hand grip, a whole hand in from where you normally would bench.
Why is that, Johnny?
Okay, I'm going to explain
hand in?
as soon as I get done with this. Explain this exercise. I'll explain why.
Sure.
And so with the telephone book presses, I go down, let the bar touch and rest on the book. 1,001, press up. 5 reps, 2 sets of that. And why you bring your hand in like that is so you concentrate more on triceps and just your upper chest also. If you've never done the exercise, you perform it, you'll see exactly what I mean. And one of the most important things during bench press is having really strong triceps to go from your sticking point, which is usually the middle, between your chest and between your chest and all the way up, extended. And between that is usually a sticking point. So, when your elbows touch the ground, that's where that sticking point is. So you get practice on pushing out of the sticking point, but also training your triceps and your shoulders and your chest, to gain strength so you can push through that sticking point.
Okay.
While you're performing a regular bench press.
All right.
Then I would go from telephone book presses to incline dumbbell presses. You could do barbell also. I switch in and out. But I usually do dumbbell, and I perform 8 reps on that, 3 sets.
Okay.
And then I go from there to seated chest presses, and then that's when I'll start up in the rep range from there, going more into a bodybuilding type workout. I'll do 15 reps on seated chest press. Immediately after I do the 15 reps on that, go to 10 reps on push-ups, and right from the push-ups, I would go to seated pec deck. And I would do 15 reps on the seated pec deck, and then I'll wait about 30 seconds in between each set of doing that. So I'm doing a fast-paced, more bodybuilding movement on those exercises.
And how much rest are you taking in the earlier movements that are power-oriented?
It goes from a minute to 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it maximizes the rest depending on how heavy you're going.
So tell me if this is a fair summary for people to kind of try to institute into their workouts. You're basically starting the body part with the heavy basic, and once you're warmed up, you're doing working sets in very low rep ranges. And then after you get through several movements that are power-oriented, you move on to maybe more classic bodybuilding-oriented stuff and pick up the pace and up the reps as well.
Exactly. Because you need that endurance, for one, and plus it keeps you in a little bit better shape also, cutting down on the time in between and adding 3 or 4 exercises, a giant set, so to say, at the end. Mm-hmm.
Johnny, any other tips? We're kind of coming to the close. Any other tips come to mind that you'd want to share with people about integrating powerlifting into their off-season bodybuilding routines?
Definitely, just protect yourself. Use your wrist wraps, your belt. I'll put my belt on as soon as I start warming up. Always protect yourself and watch your form. Don't get crazy on the weight, and go up comfortably. That's why I say pick a goal day for your weight, and so you can slowly but surely go up in weight and comfortably go up in weight without hurting yourself or getting frustrated or hitting a plateau.
Now, Johnny, if I don't ask you this question, I'm going to get 100 emails by midnight. Who's the strongest bodybuilder in the world, you or Ben White? Because Ben White says it's Ben White, and I got a feeling it's Johnny Jackson.
I don't even know who Ben White is. Are you kidding me?
I think he's the guy standing next to you at the Muscle Tech booth.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing some name like that or something like that when I was like dieting, getting ready, winning the Atlantic City show, and then coming in the top 10 for Olympia. I was totally focused on bodybuilding and dieting, but right now I'm off season. I'm hungry. Looking to do a powerlifting meet, like I said, the USPF Nationals, June 28th and 29th at the Sheraton Providence Airport Hotel in Warwick, Rhode Island. I'm going to do the push-pull. I'm going to do 600 bench and 900 deadlift, at least a 900 deadlift. I want to try to do more. To close to that 1,000 pounds I promised my fans that I would do one day. But 900 definitely is going to be, lifted up by me that day. So any of these young guns out there who actually think they're stronger than I am or can do what Johnny does, more than welcome to jump into this meet also and prove it to me. There's a platform. I'm not hard to find. Like I said, I hear it from you. I heard it from a couple other people here and there. And yes, I've seen the guy at the Muscle Tech booth on a couple occasions. He never walked up to me and said anything to me. When I challenged Ronnie, I went up to Ronnie in his face and asked him myself about doing the challenge, But he never really gave me an answer, and of course he never accepted because it never happened. So that should give him a hint there that if Ronnie wouldn't do it, why the hell do he think he can, budge me off the throne of being the strongest bodybuilder in the world? Boy, he's more welcome to try. Definitely. All
right, so that's an open challenge out there to anybody who wants to come against JOJ. Hey,
bodybuilders and powerlifters alike.
There you go. Johnny, before I let you go, I love hearing stories about bodybuilders doing good things because a lot of times it doesn't get the publicity it should. I know you're working with your bishop on a program for inner city youth at risk. Tell people a little bit about that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank you so much for letting me mention this and for you to bring this up. Yes, it's something that's been on my heart and in my head for years. I was fortunate to have my brother take me under his wing and bring me into the gym and gave me some constructive distraction to keep me off the streets and keep me from getting in trouble like a couple of my other siblings have. So, I want to be able to give this to other kids. I know how much it helped me. And, yes, it's for kids between the ages of 12 and 18. And we're just providing them a place to come in and try to have, like, a big brother or a father figure in their life and help them discover themselves and, so they can have some discipline in their life and maybe to walk away from here and start their life all over, so to say, and have a complete life and a normal life, and let them know that they can accomplish anything in this world as long as they don't hinder themselves from doing it. So it's a wonderful thing. My church is called the Mercy Seat. This camp is called the Mercy Military Academy. And it's an awesome deal. It's God's, gift to me to give to everybody else. And I definitely, we don't have our website up yet. It will be up in about 2 weeks. You can go to my website, jojfitness.com, www.jojfitness.com, and I'll have a link up to the website when we get it finished. Also, we take donations and stuff like this at the Mercy Seat Church at 1313 Brown Trail, Bedford, Texas, 76022. And they're more than welcome, and we thank you up front for it, for whatever put into that.
You got it, Johnny. Hey, Johnny,
I want to thank you for giving me that chance.
I want to, wish you the best of luck with that, and wish you the best of luck on and off stage. When are we going to see you on stage next?
The Europa Super Show is the next show I'm going to do. I hadn't put an in for it yet, but I decided to go ahead and do this show, and then Atlantic City after that, and then, of course, the Olympia.
Well, I know you got a little history at that Atlantic City. We'll get into that next time. How about that?
Oh, definitely. Hey, I'll be on the show again. Well, right after Europa, I'll be on the show, letting them know how I feel to win the Europa Super Show.
There you go.
After winning this powerlifting meet.
Sounds good, Johnny.
And then getting ready to win the Atlantic City.
Well, listen, you're not short on confidence, but you got a big heart, too, so that's a good balance. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come on, and we'll do it again. We'll get into more stuff, training, nutrition, and powerlifting and all that good stuff on another episode. Sound good?
Yeah, definitely, Larry. Thank you so much for giving me this time on here. It's been a pleasure, and it's an honor definitely talking with you and being on this show. Thank you, Johnny. Feelings mutual. You have a good night, brother. All right, thank you. You too. All right. In closing, I just want to quickly mention that, of course, as everybody knows at this point, IFBB superstar and three-time Arnold Classic champion Dexter Jackson has now signed with the Weider Group, and we'll see him in Flex Magazine. And I just want to put a shout-out to Dexter. I spoke to him after the signing, and he seems very excited to be on board. And tell you what, you look at that early season, I'm not sure that there's a better guy to have in your magazine and able to publicize and put out there. And Dexter's a great guy, and I'm looking forward to having him on the show as well. In closing, if you have any questions, comments, or show suggestions, please feel free to email me at peptalkradio@live.com. TBW returns next week at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. For Dan Solomon and Bob Ciccarillo, I'm Larry Pepe. We'll all be right back here next week. You all have a great week till then.